Very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. And today I would like to know from you guys how you are feeling before this Proteas World Cup opener. And it's going to be an interactive Q&A session. But the first thing that we're going to do is a reaction to Temba Bavuma's press conference, because I think that will set you guys up nicely for some questions if you have any for me later on in the show. This is generally the Q&A live session on a Friday. Initially, we were supposed to interview David Bellingham, but he asked if it is okay if we can interview him sometime next week. So we have moved that, and we are in contact to reschedule that interview. So today it is a Q&A session. We are going to react to Temba Bavuma's press conference as well. And I want to get your feelings on the Cricket World Cup and how you guys are feeling ahead of the opener against Sri Lanka on Saturday. But before we get going, before we get started, there's a couple of things I'd like you guys to please do. We passed our next milestone of 4,000 subscribers, and we're now moving on to 5K. That's the next goal. That's the next aim. So please help us by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. I'd also like you guys to please download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. The subscription to all issues is 100% free. If you want to support us and show your support for Cricket Fanatics and what we do here, then please become a Patreon today. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. Please smash the like button, comment and share, and go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say ahead of this World Cup opener between South Africa and Sri Lanka. And welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host, Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. And today, I want to get the fans' reactions on what you guys think ahead of the first World Cup opener between for South Africa between South Africa and Sri Lanka. That's the first game that South Africa will be playing in this particular tournament. So it would be nice to hear from the fans what you guys have to think or what you guys have to say with regards to this particular game. What you want to see, what sort of lineups do you want to see? Who do you want to see start? What do you think South Africa's approach should be? All of those things on today's show I would like to see from your perspective. So let's get into today's show. The first thing that I want to start with is I want to get going with the press conference to give you guys an understanding of what has been happening from a South African point of view, what Temba Bavuma said ahead of the series, so that you guys can maybe conjure up some thoughts and some questions. If you have anything that you want to ask me, we can also react together to see what Temba said, and if you agree with him or disagree with anything that he said, I would like to hear what you guys have to say. So let's start with that, and then from there we can move on to the Q&A session in the live chat.
Of tomorrow's game?
Yeah, I think we're satisfied with our preparation. Yes, we didn't get the opportunity to have the matches being played, obviously because of the weather. But I think from a freshness point of view, physically within the guys, I think that's a positive that we can take. I think we've had good training sessions as well. We had a training session yesterday. There's an optional one today. We've played at this ground before, so we kind of know what to expect. So I think from a prep point of view, we're satisfied, and we, I guess, as ready as we can be for the game tomorrow.
Good to know that he's feeling ready, that they're feeling confident, that they're taking some learnings from the previous outings in Delhi. So it is something that we are looking forward to. When it comes to the pitch and what the conditions are like, spin could be useful in Delhi. We know that from looking at in our preview, we spoke about it. Majority of the top wicket takers or the best performances by bowlers have been spinners, all sorts of spinners, left arm orthodox, wrist spinners, off spinners, etc. So it is a ground that is known for that. It hasn't necessarily been a high scoring venue. Um, because I mean it's only been 300 has only been topped out twice in ODIs in the last and and the last time that happened was in 2011. The weather tomorrow is also expected to be hot and humid, with highs around 37 degrees Celsius. So batting first might be the play for the team to win this match, and that is a strength of South Africa. Actually, batting first um, has always been something that South Africa is good at, and in defending. So we're hoping that our bowlers will be up to scratch. Let's continue to see what Temba has to say.
Sorry, just one moment.
What's going on here now? People coming late to the presser.
Guys in the back, are you good?
How's it, Temba? I think last time you played here was in October 2022 in ODI, and I think you guys got bowled out for 99 or something. What are sort of the learnings that you took from that game? And also, if I may ask another one, have you guys decided on sort of the composition of your bowling attack, two spinners or only one, or what's the thinking on that?
So with regards to the team, we haven't decided on that yet. That will be finalized today once we have a proper final look at the wicket. All options are available at this point in time. In terms of the last time we played here, I never played in that game. I think I was sick in that game. But I think conversations have been had amongst the batters, just I guess being more clinical in assessing the conditions and adjusting our games according to that. I think tomorrow again, but probably as we've been doing the last couple of months, will be exactly the same. Let's assess the conditions and play accordingly. Not every wicket is going to be a Bloom type of wicket where you can come out and hit through the line. So I guess it's just being more savvy from that point of view. I think that's just going to be the order of the World Cup. I think what my experience of playing in India is that you can get different conditions on any given day, and if you can be caught sleeping if you're not aware of that.
Temba, one of the interesting things that you mentioned before you guys departed is that you actually want to strike a balance between playing winning cricket and starting well, but also probably not, I almost want to say overheating, not peaking, at the wrong time. I just thought that was an interesting concept that you guys have been sort of like discussing. And what is the key to sort of like playing winning cricket, but probably not peaking too early in your tournament?
So I think in terms of peaking, I don't know if that's something that we can really control, to be honest with you. In terms of starting well, that's always been, a focal area around us as a team. We've spoken a lot about that. We've tried to find practical ways as to how we can start well. We haven't always started well, to be honest, but the focus and the awareness is there. Like I said, with the World Cup and playing each team once, any team can win on the day. So if you're not there on the day, you can get caught with your pants down. But I think in terms of the conversations that we've had within the team, I honestly don't think nothing is going to change. For us, it's all going to be about the process, as cliche as it be. We want to go out, see what the conditions are saying on the day and play accordingly. But most importantly, play accordingly to how we'd like to play our cricket. You would have heard the guys speak a lot about the brand of cricket. Nothing really unique to us as a team. All the countries are playing in a certain way. And I think for us, that's our biggest challenge. How can we keep churning out those type of performances game in, game out.
So good to hear that he's saying they're going to take it game by game, venue by venue, conditions by conditions. That's exactly what I said in our preview as well. I said that that's what we should be doing. I don't think we should get into our own heads by thinking too far ahead. Take one opponent at a time, assess the conditions, and then play accordingly.
Hi, Temba, this is Pratyus from Indian Express. With ODI cricket being, there's a lot of debates going about the future of ODI cricket because of T20 and all. For a national team captain, how difficult it is for you to motivate cricketers to keep playing for their country, because we have seen Quinton de Kock before the tournament, he has announced that he will not be playing ODIs after this. So as a captain, how difficult it is for you to motivate players, youngsters to play for South Africa before instead of picking leagues?
Yeah, I think it can be a tricky or challenging one. I don't know if it's my job as the captain to inspire the guys to play ODI cricket, but I think my biggest thing is that when the guys have that opportunity to play for their country, that they give it their all. It's becoming tougher and tougher for, I guess, guys to overlook the opportunity of the lucrativeness of playing in franchise T20 leagues, and that's just the real thing. I think organizations around the countries, at least for Cricket South Africa, what I know, are trying to get ahead of that trend. Maybe that trend is already gone, but they are trying to accommodate those individuals who have those opportunities of plying their trades outside of just playing for South Africa. But yeah, I think for me, it's when you're within the team and you have that opportunity to wear that badge, that you do it with honor, you do it with pride, and you don't take anything for granted. Yeah.
Timber, you talked about the different conditions you expect in India, but you have a very pace-heavy attack. So could you shed some light on that attack with KG, Lungi, and Lizard also coming in right now? Could you talk to us about the roles that you have for these players? You have 5 pacers with your team. So could you talk about how exciting is that? Do you go sheerly by their pace and potency, or do you even take the conditions in consideration?
Yeah, I think, with the South African tech, as predictable as it may be, we'll always kind of lean to planning around our fast bowlers. That is our strength as a South African team. So I think that's no secret to anyone who'd be planning against us. I think with that being said, where we have a guy like Keshav, guys like Shamsi, that does give us our opportunity that when the conditions do speak to playing more than one spinner, we do have guys who can step in and do that quite well. But I think the biggest thing, like you said, is the conditions, and trying to put together a team, trying to put together a tactic that speaks to those conditions and conditions that we can exploit as best as we can.
Yeah,
Timber, I think all of us in this room know of South Africa's history at World Cups, and you yourself have been on the sharp end of some of those disappointments. I'm sure there's expectation on your shoulders now. You can probably feel it coming from home and everywhere. But what does it do that, I think it's fair to say, South Africa coming into this tournament is probably, people are talking about other sides a little more than they're talking about South Africa in terms of chances of winning it. So what does that do to you, or do you just blot all of that out?
I think most guys will tell you that they try to block it out. I think it's probably impossible to block out that noise, if I could say. That expectation, that pressure will always be there. It'll obviously be heightened when it comes to a World Cup type of event. I think I took a bit of comfort at the captain's dinner when I heard the other captains speak about pressure, and kind of hearing and understanding that the emotions and the effect is all the same for all of us. So I think the biggest thing, at least for myself, is to accept that it is what it is. As a South African team, we know we're going to have that chip in our block, or that narrative that we have to get over, and I mean that's always going to be there until we win a silverware, or we win a trophy. So, I mean that the guys, we understand, we're not oblivious to all of that. But I think our biggest way of dealing with that is to be fully focused and obsessed in each other, in ourselves, and how we want to go about doing our work on the field. We understand that it's going to be a process. It's a process of 9 games, getting through those group stages, getting into the playoffs, and there's almost a belief that once we get into the playoffs, anything can happen, and things can really go in our favor. But look, that pressure, that expectation, Taufid, that's always going to be there for us as a team, for any Proteas cricketing team. That's something you just got to deal with, I guess, however way you are.
Yeah, and I think the best way for them to deal with that is, like I said, to take it a game by one game at a time. So that is something that they need to do. I don't think they should be thinking about this choker stag and previous World Cups. This is a new team. A majority of the players in here are a new unit. So and there's at least some experience as well amongst them. Obviously, Quinton, Temba, Rassi, David, Aiden, they've experienced World Cups before. KG, of course, Lungi, Andile. So yes, we'll be able to take some of some learnings and experience from that. But we need to still focus, I think, on game by game, one game at a time, one over at a time, one opponent at a time. Do not try to get too ahead of ourselves and try to overthink things. When South Africa play their natural game, they can be very dangerous. I think it's when they get overcrowded by tactics and thought processes. I think their natural game suits any single situation. I think we can beat any opponent on the day if we focus on our basics and we do it right. Like I said, there are a lot of players in this team that have natural variations. For example, with the bowlers, we've got Marco Jansen. We've got someone special like Handy Klaassen, who's great against spin. So there's a lot of things that we have that if we combine them all together, I think it's a nice blend that we have put together, and it's a nice blend of players. We need to be able to pick the right lineups though for conditions. I think that's going to show us really how to move forward and be successful in this World Cup going forward. But yeah, game by game and bit by bit. I don't think they should look too far ahead and be adaptable. If a game plan's not working, change it up.
Temba, hi. Do you think bowling is still a concern for you guys a bit, considering you gave away some runs during the warm-up?
I think the bowling, I wouldn't say it's a concern. I think, yes, there's areas that we can improve on. We always try to judge ourselves in the 3 different phases within the game, and I think we haven't had a lot of instances where in all 3 phases, being the power play, the middle and the death, where we've dominated as a bowling team. So from that point of view, I do believe that there's room for growth. And I mean, the guys are aware of that. I don't think it's all a skill thing. The guys put in the work that they put in within the nets. I think it's probably more from a mental point of view. Guys getting themselves into spaces where they can play their best cricket. But I do believe it is a team effort type of thing. There's days where the batting attack won't fire and we're going to need the bowlers to come through, and vice versa. At the moment, maybe it's the batters who are firing, who are taking on that responsibility. But yeah, there is room for us to improve within the bowling front.
Definitely is places to
Hi,
improve.
Vinayak here from the Tribune. Does it help for your team to not have the favorite tags going to the World Cup? Does it help?
I don't think it really helps, because I mean we have our own pressures and expectations, our own as a team, but also ones that come from outside within the team. So, I mean, whether you're the favorites or not, I don't think it really matters. I think the challenge will always be for us to go out and play our best cricket, game in, game out, and that's where that pressure or expectation is.
Sir, my question from you is, Hendrich Klaassen is in a very rich run of form. How crucial, how great he will be in Indian conditions against pace and spin alike? Because he's taking down everyone right now. One of the best out now.
Yeah, Klaassen is walking on water at the moment.
I
The
hope he
way
continues.
he's been batting, he's obviously a big player for us. He's been part of our group for a number of years, and you know he's truly shown why there's been so much faith and backing in his ability. Obviously, he comes in and he marshals that middle order of our batting, and I guess his success, not to take credit away from it, but his success is probably largely due to the platform that he gets from the guys who come in just be at the top of the order, whether it be Quinton, whether it be myself, whether it be Rassi at the top three. So I think it's important that those guys do jobs. So guys like Klaassen, even a guy like David, Aiden, can go out and do what we expect and want them to do.
Temba, I know you talked about that there's obviously some tweaks that can still be done in terms of the bowling department and stuff, but you must, well, it's actually a two-part question. Just like, how useful was it to play in different conditions against Australia at home? And also, you must be pretty encouraged that even though there's still some work to be done, you guys, particularly in those last three games, were actually quite potent. You know, you took your wickets.
Yeah, definitely. I think the way we performed in those last three ODIs in that series epitomizes us as a team. Again, we started slowly within that series, but we managed to pick it up. So, and I think, like you say, within the bowling, there were definitely improvement within our bowling, within the process of within the bowling. I think if we look at, the death, we were always going to be put under pressure. The way the guys, David Warner, the way the Travis Head, they came out and played, Marsh, they came out and played in the power play. They were always going to put us under pressure. But I think that, in honesty, has put us in good stead. We don't believe it will get any tougher than that. I think Australia were getting about 90 in 10 overs. We don't expect teams to be getting more than that. So I think we were really stretched from that point of view. Middle phases, the way we went about it there, we really improved, and we hardly got to situations where we were bowling in the death. So there was definitely an upward trajectory within our bowling in that series. And I guess for us, it's just to continue with that momentum and keep getting better. We'll always be chasing that perfect game, not just within the bowling, but within the batting. And until we can be able to sit there after a game and say we've ticked all the boxes in the different phases, we'll be happy. But until then, I'll always come into the press and say there's room for us to improve.
Awesome. This is going to be the last two final questions from the front and the back teams. And you can go first.
Temba, what positive or strength that you see within your squad? What does South Africa have that no other team has in this World Cup, according to you?
Yeah, I think it's probably not so much from the skill point of view, because I think all the teams have match winners at their disposal, whether it be batting and bowling. I think for us, I think the biggest thing is our character. You'll hear a lot of guys speak about our resilience. I think that's something that really stands us in good point. There's also a willingness or want for or a desire from guys to put in the big performances from the team. That's at least something that I've felt in the last couple of months. So I think that's something that we'll be leaning towards, guys not shying away from those pressure moments, going towards them, and really grabbing the opportunity or the game by the scruff of its neck. So I think, more from the personality of the team, I think that's probably where our strength is, our resilience and our willingness and desire to make a play for the team.
Temba, you spoke earlier about, you guys really, knowing about the psychology of everything, and that you will only, shake all the tags that you have once you win a tournament. I was just wondering, when you guys speak about this, do you ever use the word choke?
I've used it a couple of times, but you don't really hear it coming about within the team. And I think there's guys who believe that it applies to this team. There's guys who don't believe that it applies to this team. And I think the belief that happens amongst the team, I think that's the most important bit. I bring it up to just make sure that we're not kind of skirting around the issue, that it's something that is there, it's something that we'll always have to deal with. So mentally make sure that you know how you're going to deal with it. But again, it's just that acceptance that it would always be there within the team, within this group, within guys who are to come. Hopefully they don't have to experience that. It's something that will just exist, I guess, for as long as we do what we need to do.
Yeah, so that is Temba's press conference. And in regards to the choking thing, like, I don't think, I mean, choking is a specific term, and that's when you get to a certain stage, when you were back to win, and you put yourself into a winning position, and then just as you're about to cross the line, you fumble it. That's what choking is. But South African teams have been labeled with that even in tournaments when they weren't favorites and went in and did poorly when they weren't expecting to do anything. That's not choking. That is underperforming. So there's a big difference. Choking is a under pressure situation when you crack. So not all South African teams have choked, if you can put it in that terms. There have been a couple in the past that have, and I don't think that every single team that comes through where South African colors should play with that in their minds. They shouldn't all think about that tag, because it isn't relevant to every single player that is in the team currently. So someone needs to come step up and change that narrative, and they need to start believing in themselves. Just a quick update on Sri Lanka's team. I saw a lot of you talking about injuries in the live chat so far. I haven't gotten a chance to read all of it, but Pereira and Sanaka have been past fit after missing Sri Lanka's last warm-up game. But only Tikshana misses out. This means Dushan Himantha is likely to fill in once again. So like a probable lineups that we could see from a Sri Lankan point of view could be Kusal Pereira, Nisanka, Kusal Mendes, as Sadira Samara Wikrama, Charita Asalanka, Tananja De Silva, Dushan Sanaka, Dunith Welalagi, and Dushan Hamantha, and Dilshan Mudashanka, and Lahiru Kumara. Those a very talented team. We shouldn't underestimate them. But I do think that David Miller and Heinrich Klaassen, particularly against the spinners, will be key. And South Africa needs to take advantage of the younger seeming attack that they have available over there and try to put the pressure on them from the get-go. But play the conditions, of course. That's something that we also need to do. Let me get into some of the live chats and see what you guys have to say over here. Shatil saying Kusal Pereira will play, Tishikana won't. No Saranga, Tishikana, and Pereira, but Pereira is fit. Shatil saying I'm just seeing an upset tomorrow. Have some confidence, guys. Give the players some confidence. Don't go into this tournament with such a negative mindset. I mean, the players can't do so. They can't go into this tournament thinking, oh no, we're just going to lose. Let's just give up. They might as well just walk home and go home. They need to give their 100%. Two bowlers will surprise SA battered tomorrow. That is Pitirana and Welaga. Walage, whatever you pronounce it. Sri Lanka beating us will be an upset. If the pitch doesn't turn, Sri Lanka are screwed, though, says Chatil. We're going to see how the pitch is. This Delhi wicket, generally speaking, like I said earlier since in 2011, there haven't really been much scores over 300. So it's going to be something that is very interesting. If South Africa can bat first, put on a massive total, I think they can really make it difficult for the likes of Sri Lanka. I think that's something that we need to take into consideration. Um, let's be honest, Khalid, Sri Lanka's bowling attack is better. I think we underestimate some of our bowlers, particularly Lungi and Giri. I don't think he deserves the stick he gets. KJ Rabada needs to step up. That's a must because he's now the senior bowler. Marco Jansen has a X factor to him. I like his fight and I like the effort that he puts in. It's something that I'm looking forward to see how he operates. Um, and Keshaf and Shamsi, I think going with two spinners in Delhi might be the right way to go, in my opinion. Um, but if we can have Heinrich Klaasen and David Muller on song against the spin attack in that middle order, if we can put on a nice base for them to come into, then Sri Lanka are in for a tough day. Um, that's something that I at least think. Um, the key is going to be that number 9. You can say that number 9 position probably, whether Andile plays or a second spinner plays, because I do think that it should be Marco Jansen and Gerald Coetzee. I know it's a lot of pressure for Gerald in a World Cup and stuff, but his raw pace is an X factor. It is always going to be, and he's really worked on his Yorkers. So 7 and 8 with Marco and Gerald will be good. And then we need to pick between Andile and Shamsi, and then Keshav Maharaj and Rabada, or Lungi Ngidi. We're going to have to decide what we're going to do over there. What another option is also to play Lungi, um, and 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 then we have to like decrease our batting attack. Of course, it weakens our batting attack without Andile at 8. So there are a lot of options that we can do, but they need to make a decision based on the conditions tomorrow and what it's like. Is there rain expected? I haven't seen anything about rain expected for the day. That is something that according to the pitch report and the weather report, etc., that it's going to be 37 degrees tomorrow. I haven't seen any reports about the weather, but I can just quickly check for you. Yeah, it's sunny the entire day tomorrow. It doesn't look like there's going to be any rain. So I think we only really saw that in the warm-up games. I think it's going to clear up. The rest of the week looks pretty sunny throughout and quite hot and humid. I think that's the difficult part. South Africa needs to play freely. They should not have pressure because they are favorites for the World Cup. If they want to pressure and go into the shell, they will be in trouble this tournament. That's exactly what I've said. They need to focus game by game. They need to take it game by game. They mustn't look ahead and try to put too much pressure on themselves. They are going into this World Cup as underdogs, and they should just focus on their game and try to be the best that they can every single day. Still recovering from injury. He's not available tomorrow, Siskani. Let me go to some of the comments down below. Khalid, I'm concerned about the way these pitches have played so far, even though it's only 2 stadiums, but it doesn't look like batting will be promising. We need Quinny and Temba to look towards the 100. That's the thing. We need our batting opening partnership to set the tone for our batters. If we can, between our top 3, if we can really set the platform and set a nice total, then our free-flowing players like Aiden Marker, Heinrich Klaasen, and David Miller can really go and play their natural games and put extra pressure on the opposition. That should be the mentality. And then you've got a Marco Jansen that can come in and play with freedom. We should try and put Marco Jansen in situations where he can play freely like he wants to with no care, because that's when he's at his most dangerous. So he is really good at playing under pressure as well. I'm not saying that he isn't. But imagine a Marco Jansen coming to the crease when the team is nice and set. There's a nice total on the board, and he can push the total on, and he can play with freedom and bravery. Like, he's a very brave guy anyway. So that's something that I'm looking forward to seeing. Suraj says he's still not convinced with South African team in chasing the totals in ICC events and World Cups. We are better than Sri Lanka, no doubt. It's all about the performance one day. Technically, we are better. And they said they need to play for time. If they can perform like they did in the opening power play, like in Poch, we're winning Indeed, says DT. And Gideon Shamsi makes South Africa lower order batting is more fragile. South Africa already have very long tail because of that. South African top six always under pressure, says Suraj Campbell. Um, Ahmed says, I would go with Antila and Shamsi. Give some overs to Markram. Lungi also because he can bowl that back of the length deliveries, and Sri Lankans struggle to play the pull shots. We say that, but we played them not so long ago, and we tried those shorter deliveries, and they kind of punished us. So we just need to. I think we just need to bowl consistently in the we need to build consistency in the trouble areas on the pitch and find that consistently. Um, if we can do that and put the pressure on Sri Lanka, they will start to tense up. That's what we need to try and evoke out of that team. We need to try and tense them up and make them a little bit nervous going into this match. If we can strike early, obviously that is key. Um, and we're going to need to try and do that when the pitch is still fresh, because I do think that in Delhi, with this pitch, with the humid conditions, etc., as the day goes along, I think it's going to be a little bit harder and harder to bat. So I think batting first on this wicket is probably going to be the key. And putting on a decent total while the conditions are still good. So I think as it gets more humid, as it gets hotter and more humid, and the dew and the dew starts to set in, it can get very tricky. I hope that Rob's decision making when it comes to looking at conditions is better than Boucher's. Noah Haight, says DT. Sri Lankan batters struggle to score over 230 on ODIs. The Proteas bowlers need to bowl the right length and field as well as a bare minimum. And obviously, we need wickets. We can win, says Ikram. I agree there. Temavunu needs to perform in this World Cup because he's in good form in ODIs, bilaterals, but should in perform in World Cup when it matters most. And we're hoping that he can do so as our captain. I like the new approach of Quinny to bat till 30th over. Quinny's going to be key. And there's no excuses for Quinny in this World Cup. He's announced his retirement. It's his last opportunity to really go out there. I don't think there is any stress for Quinny at all. He can literally play stress-free, carefree, and that is how we know Quinny to be. So I really think that Quinton de Kock needs to. If I take that into consideration, that he's already retired from ODIs, he should be able to have a brilliant World Cup. If Quinny has a brilliant World Cup, then I think we're really in for a great tournament, because the South African team hasn't always had Quinny to bail them out. This particular unit that has been built here, it's always been Temba, Rassi, Aiden, Heinrich, Aiden in more recent times, but Heinrich, David, that have really pulled out the batting performance, and obviously Bavuma. Quinny has come to the party here and there, but we need some consistency from him. And there is no excuse for him this time around, because he has no pressure. It's his last World Cup event. He can really, whatever happens in this tournament, he goes and he retires from ODI cricket and doesn't have to play the sport again. I mean, this particular format again. So he should be able to be carefree and go out there and play to the best of his ability. And I hope that he does. Sri Lanka has only beaten South Africa in 50 over World Cups. That was in 1992, 2003 was a tie. Text of Quinton bats like this. If he takes his time, then who will utilize the power play? Who will think you think then? We shouldn't underestimate Sri Lanka's batting at all. You shouldn't underestimate any team. There should be this South African team, to prevent themselves from underestimating the opposition. They should focus on their own games. They should play their own games and focus on their own game and try to do the best that they can do. I don't think they should look at the opposition too much. Yes, you can look at certain tactics to try and utilize certain players at a certain time at the right times. True. But if they focus on their strengths and they focus on what they do well, I think they will be okay. Khalid, makes me sad that generally people aren't talking about the Proteas playing in a World Cup. There's no Protea Fire Friday, anything like that. It is quite sad, but the South African cricket team has kind of, over time, they've actually been the cause of that themselves. because they haven't turned up at the World Cup events like they're supposed to. Bavuma takes the bowling on in the power play. Bavuma will be key if the pitch is slow and turns. If Quinton not perform in this World Cup, then I don't think he will get opportunities in the upcoming T20 World Cup in 2024. I don't even think they know there's a Cricket World Cup. I hope the guys know there are people still backing them. Did you notice a change in Quinny's body language? He looks determined this time. I think he will have a good World Cup. I think so too. I've seen a change in Quinny's demeanor as soon as the new coaches came in. I've been into a couple of training sessions and I've seen him on the pitch training, and he looks a lot more happy at the moment than I've ever seen him before. I don't know if you guys remember under Bouch how miserable he looked. I don't know if it is related to Bouch at all, but he looked very miserable when he was interim captain and he was taking that responsibility. And during that period, he didn't necessarily look like the Quinton that we know. And right now, he looks a lot happier. He looks a lot more calm, and he looks geared up for this. The Rugby World Cup overshadowing the Cricket World Cup. Generally, that happens. South Africa should think they are here to do spoilers for the other teams with that mindset. South Africa will play freely and it will help the Proteas. But South Africa, that's my point, is South African, if they play their natural games, they are a naturally free-flowing scoring team. Uh, the only players that kind of that slow things down a bit is probably Rassie van der Dussen and maybe to an extent Temba at some points. But recently Temba has really been playing with a lot of flow and energy in ODIs. So it's only really Rassie van der Dussen that takes his time. The rest of the batting lineup, they play with freedom naturally. Their natural game is to play freely. So if they stick to their game plans and if they stick to their what they know best, South Africa's team will naturally play with an attacking brand of cricket. That is how they play naturally. So that's what they should do. Don't try to overthink the conditions, and then our free flowing players shouldn't try to start like now blocking and doing things differently now just because, oh, that's the tactic. They should utilize and adapt to the conditions, yes, but they should play their natural games. I think that they have the skills. Aiden, Quinny, Temba, Rassi, these are quality top order batters. We shouldn't be feeling so nervous going into this World Cup with their record. I think they have the best averages as a unit, as a top 4 unit or top 6 unit in the world at the moment. They have some of the best averages in that top 6. So we should be confident in our batting lineup. We can feel a little bit worried about our bowlers because yes, we have a very inexperienced bowling attack with Gerald there and with Lizard there and with Marco Jansen there, but the experience between KG, Lungi, and Keshav and Shamsi should be able to hold the weight, and they are all players. I think Keshav, I think Shamsi, I think they're pretty good under pressure in general. I'm talking about now in domestic cricket, I've seen that. Internationally, when it's bilateral series, anything can happen. Let's see how they play under the pressures of a World Cup. It's a lot different to a bilateral series. And now recently against Australia, when they were called upon and needed, all of them stepped up. They showed some fight and character. And I think that's the difference in this particular unit to the 2019 unit. There's no baggage, and that's what I like about it. I don't do ifs. It's the lack of discipline or hard work, but Quinny didn't reach his true potential. Don't get me wrong, he is one of the openers we've had. Yes, he didn't reach his, I agree, he hasn't reached his full potential in Test cricket or in ODI cricket or in T20 cricket, really. If Rabada and Quinton de Kock underperform this time also, we need to move on from them in white ball cricket. While we probably, Quinny's already moving on, kind of. How do you think that the Indian media is underestimating Temba Bavuma as a player and captain? I 100% do think so. Temba Bavuma is brilliant in ODI cricket. I don't know why he gets the disrespect that he does. Labavuma sleeping through the captain's meet. That was journalists deserve for only focusing on the big three and Pakistan. It was boring as hell. And also Temba came straight off a plane. Remember, he rushed home for a family emergency and then he was back on the plane again to be part of this team. So he was probably jet lagged. For that, that traveling over those couple of days must have killed him. So it's fully understandable why if he fell asleep completely, it's fully understandable. Holly, do you think that the Proteas will play T20s after this World Cup? We didn't pick Faf and Tahir after they retired in other formats. I can see them still picking Quinton de Kock if he makes himself available, yes. Van der Dussen was not like this in the beginning of his international career. He started slow down recently. He should get his best back. Um, at the start of his international career, what we were seeing was there was a lot of collapses, and then Rassi came in and he batted majority of the balls. Rassi, generally speaking, over his career has been a guy that gets his eye in and then starts accelerating tremendously towards the back end of our innings. He's a batter that can bat through. Um, I believe in this. Really, I believe in this batting lineup. If they do the right things mentally, and focus on the game by game, that will obviously do it. He was not sleeping, says Dex. I think it was the angle of the photo, the screenshots was taken. I don't think he was sleeping, to be honest. When I thought about it, I was thinking, I don't think he's sleeping. But if he was, then it's understandable with the travel. If I'm honest, based on our ability, we should be able to win at least 5 or 6 games. Hardly people normally don't rate players like Temba since he doesn't hit those big sixes. Only in recent times he has been pretty good with regards to that. I hear the commentators wax lyrical about Pakistan and some of the players that don't clear the boundary and display good cricket shots. Temba is another type of player like that. He plays good cricket shots. He needs to make sure that him and Quinny can be a partnership and they can lay the foundation for our more attacking players later on. That should be the roles of the two openers, in my opinion. Khalid, will you be disappointed if we do not make the semis? I'd be disappointed, yes, but it's not my expectations aren't like with this particular squad. My expectations aren't through the roof with regards to, oh yes, we have to make the semis. I know that this team has weaknesses, and I know that what's going to take for them to do well is if they stick to their plans. And if I start to see that they're not sticking to their plans and they're not showing the doing the bare minimum, I think the basics they need to do: work hard in the field, leave everything out in the middle, focus on it focus on it bit by bit, game by game, and I think we'll do well. This batting lineup is really good. I don't know why people are sleeping on them. They're proper batting lineup. We chased down 372 last year though, says DT. SA bowling is more concerned than batting, and SA bowling defend 250, 280 versus top 5 sides. That is going to be the major question that we're going to have to see and answer. But guys, thanks for tuning in and showing me what you guys have to say and how you feel ahead of this World Cup. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and enjoyed the commentary. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for getting me up to 4K and past 4K subscribers. We're growing at a steady pace. Let's go trying to make it to that 5K milestone. Please subscribe if you're new. Click that notification bell for all future videos, or if you haven't subscribed quite yet. I would like you guys to also please support the channel by becoming a patron today. Also, download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates. Good luck for the Proteas for tomorrow's Wackers. And you guys will see me directly after the game is complete. I will be live with a live show to do the review of the match. So good luck to the Proteas. I hope you guys enjoy this episode and you enjoy the game tomorrow. Let's hope that South Africa can pull a first victory of this tournament and start our tournament on a high. Stay safe, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Peace out.